Hey, I'm Sarah Gaither with Carolina Pottery, and today we're going to make an everyday wreath. What do I mean by everyday wreath? Well, it's a wreath that can go up in January and stay all the way through to December. But I do know we like changing our wreaths out, but let's go ahead today and get started on our everyday wreath. So what I've done is I've got a grapevine, I have a sign that I like, and any sign that you want you can use. I have some greenery. And cotton, of course, is the hot thing right now. So I've got some cotton and some ribbon. That's all you're going to need to do this wreath. We also have my glue gun and the scissors and wires. So of course we need our tools. So let's get started on this. The first thing I'm going to do actually is I'm going to put my sign on the wreath. And for this one, I'm going to put the sign directly in the middle of my wreath. So I'm just going to use floral wire. I'm going to run the wire through the hole, attach it on, and then wire it around my wreath. And I'll do this on both sides just to make sure that it doesn't flap in the wind as it's hanging on your front door. If you want to use a sign that doesn't have a hole in it, of course you can just use a hammer and nail, make a little hole, and you're ready to then add it to your wreath. Okay, so now that I have it attached on, this style of wreath is actually when you put something on the top of your wreath and the bottom of your wreath. So that way your entire wreath is balanced. So the next step that I would do is I'm going to add a bow at the top and a bow at the bottom. Now I want to keep my bow that's at the top of my wreath a little bit smaller than the bow at the bottom. I don't want the tails to be as long, and I want the tails to be extremely long down on the bottom. So we have these two bows. I'm going to add one down at the bottom, and these are what we call our Betty Jean bows. So make sure you check out our DIY on our Betty Jean bows. So we're adding one to the bottom of the wreath, and then we're going to add the smaller one to the top of the wreath. Again, we're just adding it with floral wire. And then I'm going to move my little streamers around, but they seem a little bit too long, so I'm just going to cut them off. And now it's time to add our greenery and cotton. Okay, so we're going to start out by adding around the bow, okay? So I just have some different greenery. I've already cut it using my wire cutters. And then I've got my little glue pan. So I'm just going to dip into my glue pan, and I'm just going to start working around the bow. Now this is the fun part where you get to decide how much or how little you would like to add to your wreath. I'm just going to, for right now, add 2 pieces of greenery. And then I'm going to add my cotton, which this is going to be too long. I don't want it quite that long. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this in half, which then of course gives me 2 pieces, and I've saved on the price of my materials. And you can see I've stuck that in on top of the other greenery. And I like my odd numbers, so I'm going to add in another piece of cotton so that I have 3 pieces at the top. Then I'm going to come down to the bottom of my wreath, and I like to have things a little bit heavier down at the bottom than I do at the top. So I'm going to add more greenery and more cotton down to the bottom. But I'm doing exactly the same thing. So I'm using my bow to know where to place my other items. And I'm just going to follow around the bow. And I was able to create this entire wreath from one greenery stem. and 1 cotton stem. The great things about everyday wreaths are you're able to use them year after year, anytime it's between seasons. So now once I have my cotton in, I have completed my farmhouse look, and it's ready to hang on your front door. So thanks for joining us today. I'm Sarah Gaither with Carolina Pottery.